Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Zara and I'm so excited to be sharing with you all today what I've been learning about being vegan. So over the past couple of months, I've been doing a lot of research into my food choices. It hadn't really occurred to me till now that an activity like eating that I have to do throughout my life is something I should pay more attention to. I feel like I had become disconnected from food. I wasn't really thinking about what's gone into bringing this meal in front of me, or what effect it's going to have on my body, or what effect it's had on the environment. But the more I started learning about what I ate, the more my eyes started opening up to so many of the pressing problems that we're facing, and the fact that we can help address some of these if we're a little bit more mindful about what we eat. I'm talking about climate change, world hunger, chronic illnesses, and animal cruelty. So I would love to share all my research with you, and I hope that you would be interested in joining me on this journey where we can work to empower each other to take better care of our health, our planet, and all the beautiful life that's on it through our food choices. So I'd like to start by talking about animal cruelty. I had been non-vegan for 28 years of my life, and eating meat products was a total norm for me. I never really thought to question anything against it. And then one day, two of my sisters decided that they were going to start following a vegan lifestyle. Whenever they told me about some of the cruelty that exists in the animal industry, it always bothered me. I didn't like the fact that such cruelty existed. But I was uncertain whether I could do what they were doing by following a vegan lifestyle, because I feel like having these animal products was so ingrained in my habits. It was the only thing I knew, and I thought that not having them would make me unhealthy, or that changing my entire lifestyle would be too difficult. But I decided that I would still want to keep learning more about the topic. So one day I watched a documentary called Land of Hope and Glory, in which they describe some of the large-scale mass production practices of producing milk, eggs, chicken, beef, and lamb. And I was just shocked to my core. It was as if I was living in a bubble of ignorance that had just been popped, and I could no longer continue to see these animals suffering for my case, for my food. So in today's video, I'd like to describe one of the examples from this documentary for you, and hopefully in the future we can talk about more. Let's start by talking about the dairy industry. So in order for us to produce our milk, the process begins by first artificially impregnating a cow. And once the cow delivers its baby, we immediately separate them. If it's a female calf, it'll be kept for use within the dairy industry. But if it's a male calf, it'll be either sent to slaughter for real or killed. Now cows have a strong maternal instinct, just like humans, and they develop a strong bond with their calf once they're born. And you can see the amount of pain the mother cow is in, trying so desperately to protect its babies. And rather than keeping them together, we're separating them so that we can exploit the mother cow for its milk at 10 times more than she could naturally produce, while we feed the baby calf formula. And we do this process over and over and over again without any break to the cow. If this cow was not on a factory farm, it could have lived up to 20 years. But because of the amount of stress that we're putting it through, it becomes incapable of doing this just after 4 years, at which point it will also be sent for slaughter. And the crazy part is, we don't even need these products to be healthy. So much of the latest research is now showing how unhealthy dairy has become for our health. It's being linked directly with so many hormonal diseases. Just think about this. The number of cows in the United States from the 1920s till now used for milk production has been going down, but then milk production has only been going up. How is this possible? It's because we've modified these cows to produce more milk than they could ever naturally produce, and we've also modified them to produce milk all throughout their pregnancy cycle, which naturally they would not be doing. But because this would bring down milk supply, we modified them to do this. And now a majority of the milk that is sold on the shelves is produced by pregnant cows. This is so unhealthy for us because the amount of female hormones like estrogens that gets into the milk produced by a pregnant cow is being directly linked with hormonal cancer such as breast cancer. The good news is the fact that there are so many plant-based alternatives that we can easily rely on. Any dairy product that you can imagine, there's now a plant-based alternative for it. Plant-based milk, plant-based yogurt, plant-based butter, plant-based cheese, plant-based ice creams. And all these plant-based alternatives are not only going to be healthier for us, but we can use them to take a stand against the dairy industry, to stand against these cruel practices. And these alternatives are also going to be so much less draining on the environment. So this brings me to the next topic I want to talk about, the environment. Climate change is a major threat that we're all facing, and it's only getting worse for future generations to come. We all need to start thinking about how we can reduce our carbon emissions. Some ways that we're advised to do this is by doing things like walking or riding our bikes instead of taking transportation, and taking public transportation whenever possible, and being more mindful about electricity usage. An industry we hear a lot about when we talk about climate change is the fossil fuel industry. But something that I was never exposed to is the fact that the animal agriculture industry is one of the leading producers of greenhouse gas emissions. They produce more greenhouse gas emissions than all of transportation combined. They also do a lot of land deforestation. 91% of the Amazon rainforest has been destructed because of animal agriculture. This area of land, which was once so precious and able to control the levels of oxygen on Earth, is now instead emitting more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. This is because we've taken down so many trees for animal agriculture, and with less trees in the area, there's less rain, and with less rain, there's more drought, and with the rising temperatures and droughts, there's just more uncontrollable forest fires. We're stuck in a negative cycle. In a world where we're also struggling with the overpopulation of 8 billion people and not being able to evenly distribute our food to everyone, we're still farming 70 billion animals on it. It takes a lot of resources to do this. For example, a third of the Earth's land is used to grow food that we're then going to feed to livestock. I was always disturbed by the fact that we couldn't equally distribute our food to everybody, and I wondered how, with an overpopulated planet that has finite resources, are we going to continue to keep producing enough food for everybody? But I actually learned that we have the capability of producing enough food to sustain 10 billion people on a healthy plant-based diet. We can help 82% of the children in countries where they're starving and we're growing enough food, but instead of distributing in such a way that they have access to it, we are feeding it to livestock, which is going to be eaten by people in Western countries. It makes me really happy to know that if we take a stand against this, we can start to begin to change the food systems so that they become more fair and more equal and less damaging to the environment, which is something it really needs right now. Another thing I learned is the fact that I can easily be healthy on a plant-based diet. Before my research, I was under the assumption that a plant-based diet might mean I'd be unhealthy or nourished, and I learned that this is just not true. A plant-based whole foods diet, when done properly, can be so healthy for you. In fact, so many doctors are now recommending their patients to try a plant-based diet to help them even reverse some of the chronic illnesses that they're facing, such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's. It's so empowering to know that we can take our health into our control from diseases like this by being more mindful about our food choices. And these food choices we're going to make are not only going to be healthy for us, but they're going to minimize all the unnecessary suffering that exists for these animals and be better for the environment. So once I learned the amount of cruelty that exists and the fact that I can easily be healthy on a plant-based diet, I could no longer justify why I need to keep taking the lives of these animals or putting them in situations where they would just rather not be, when there's amazing plant-based alternatives that I can just as well thrive on. So with that being a little bit of an intro to why I decided to follow a vegan lifestyle, I hope that you'd be interested in joining me on this journey, where I'll be sharing more recipes, more research, and more information about the challenges that I go through on my vegan journey. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!